Welcome to Timeout Sports. I'm Tawny Davis.
And I'm Brandon Villarreal.
This week, volleyball played it for the Texas A&M Kingsville tournament.
They went 4-1 over the weekend and now continue the season 6-2.
Last Tuesday, women's golf tied for fifth at the Tarleton State Texans Invitational.
Men's golf finished second at the Palmer Foundation Invitational. For the second year in a row, our men's soccer team has made the top 25 nationally.
Last Sunday, the team was featured on KSAT 12, where our very own Johnny Clifford, Oliver Wright, and Alan Peralt were interviewed about their successful season.
Men's and women's golf has started off on a great start.
Both divisions placed top 5 in their respective tournaments.
Stick around for more coming up on Timeout Sports.
Put the icing on the cake for St. Mary's. Pato into the back of the net. Pato runs over it, right. Shot, goal, Ollie Wright.
Last season, we made history. This year, we will build our legacy.
There have been some interesting things coming up in sports this week.
So me and Tawny are going to be answering some questions coming up.
How do we feel about Mike Trout's injury?
Now, losing such a key player like Mike Trout to this season-ending injury is really going to hurt them as a whole entire organization and as just a team being out there, because the substitute's going to go up and it's going to be a whole new chemistry out there on the field. But the biggest thing is that Mike Trout is a phenomenal player, and it's really hard you can't just replace another Mike Trout.
Exactly, the question becomes about the big contract that he signed. Does he become worth it, because he's already injured and he signed this contract for X plus years? So how do you answer that?
Now, with him injuring on the first season of this next year contract, I think if he takes his time and continues to develop himself over rehab, that he'll be able to come back stronger than ever. But he really can't rush back into it, because if he rushes back into it, then he's just going to hurt himself again. And then I don't think that he'd be worth this really huge contract that he's got.
Next question. How do you feel about the 3 newcomers of the top 25? So TCU, Arizona State, and Cal have entered the top 25 AP poll at 23, 24, 25. So how do we feel about these newcomers in this AP poll?
I think it's good for them to finally break into the AP poll, to keep going. And as their organizations have been loose around different parts, they've had some key players come out of them. But I think ultimately as a program, with them coming together to break the top 25, I believe that it's good for all of them. And I'm happy that there's new teams up there going up there and competing.
And for Arizona State in general, they've been a struggling program for years now. But I think now with their new head coach, Herm Edwards, he's bringing in those key players that they need, those key elements that are needed to become a top 25 team. And he's done that so far. So let's see where they are in the next few years.
Definitely. And TCU definitely has had key players come out of it. And it's good that the organization's coming together as a whole for them to boost past the top 20.
How do you feel about Carly Lloyd joining the NFL?
Now, I think it's a huge step just for, women in general to enter into the league, because I believe if you're better at that position for that job, because in the NFL, it all becomes jobs. So if you can do the job the best, then go for it and continue. But my question is, the logistics side of it with the locker room situation. Does she get her own section into the locker room? Does she have her own room? How is that going to continue going forward into the NFL?
I think as well, like with her technique in general, she's hesitating a little bit too much for a kicker because kickers, they need to just go and kick the ball as soon as it's snapped. I think as soon as she fixes that and gets rid of that, she'll be amazing. But there's also the question of, will there be harassment because she is a woman joining this quote unquote man's world, this man dominated field. So is that going to happen? And how will the team that she joins with the NFL in general, especially Roger Goodell, how will they handle that?
I think it's really the if and when. Like if she does join a team, and then when it comes around, I think that's when they're going to take it into more, detailed approach about it. Right now, it's just been really serious talks of her joining a team. She wouldn't be joining. I believe that she wouldn't be joining a top tier team because they already have their kicker set. I think some of the new up and coming teams would be willing to take the shot on her. If she produces numbers and she continues to be consistent, then I don't see anything wrong with it.
I agree. How do you feel about Teddy Bridgewater replacing Drew Brees?
Now, for me, I can feel nothing but pain for Drew Brees because he's such a phenomenal quarterback, and for him to have this injury really takes him back. And as a team, for the Saints organization, they've had such a strong finish last year due to that really out there penalty that kind of cost the whole entire league something and cost them continuing forward. It's really going to hurt them. But I believe Teddy Bridgewater has what it takes for him to step up and take the Saints to where they need to be. They just really got to buckle down and get their chemistry right.
I agree because we don't know how much longer Drew Brees is going to be in the NFL. So they do need to find his successor pretty soon. So I think this is an opportunity for Teddy Bridgewater to show, hey, I'm here. I can take over this team if need be or when need be. So I think this is his chance. Coming up,
college football is in full swing and the new AP has been released. Stay tuned to find out who got ranked.
In Major League Baseball, Christian Yelich is out for the season due to a torn ACL. Are the Brewers prepared for a season without him?
Champions know how to seize opportunities. When they see moments of greatness unfold right before their eyes, they push as hard as they possibly can, and then they push harder. Because the heart of a champion never settles, never quits, and never stops giving its all. We are champions. We are Division II. We go big, we give it everything we've got, and we win. On the field, on our campuses, in our communities, for our causes, in our careers. We rise to become champions in everything we do. We are Division II, and there are no limits here. We make our time count. We set our own path. We become champions on our terms. It's time to up your game, because we're here to play and learn. But most importantly, we're here to discover ourselves, our vision, our heart, our drive, to achieve every goal we aim for, because we want to be champions at the highest level, life. At Division II, the opportunities are here. Are you ready?
Hello and welcome back to Timeout Sports.
College football has released the new AP polls, and now let's start with the top 5.
At number 1, we of course have the Clemson Tigers. They have been dominating so far. They have been continuing this dominating type of play ever since they won the national championship last year. So I think they're going to continue staying at this number 1 spot for a while.
And number 2 is Alabama. I mean, they've been a number 1 and 2 contender for the years that Nick Saban has been at helm of this organization. And they have very strong players on both defense and offense as a full unit. And they're going to be a number 1 or number 2 contender this whole time out here because of how strong the organization has been over the years and has continued to keep going. But I see them as number 2 right now due to their loss to Clemson last year.
And number 3, we have Georgia. Go Dogs. I believe that they are working very hard this year because of the whole fiasco last year where they weren't able to make the playoffs. That they want to stay in this top 4 spot, top 3, because they want to be able to show that, hey, we are a playoff team. We can win the national championship.
And number 4, LSU has a very good organization coming up this year. Both very strong on defense, has shown they're good points for them to come up and be in this top 4 spot.
And number 5, we have Oklahoma. Oklahoma was in the playoffs last year, and so they've kind of dropped down a little bit. But I do believe that they're going to work hard to try to get them back into the playoff contending team that they are today, because they have Jalen Hurts as their quarterback this year. So, Brandon, how do you feel about these rankings? Should anyone be moved up? Should anyone not be in the top 5? How do you feel about these polls overall?
Now, I agree with the polls to an extent, with LSU as being the exception, because I believe that LSU in this last game against UT, if they show that they're number 4 in the polls, I think they should have finished out the game a lot stronger than just winning by a touchdown, and definitely struggling with UT at times during that game, to where UT is now number 12 in the AP polls. For you to struggle with the number 12 at number 4 seed, I think they should get moved down, at least to 5th, and Oklahoma move up, because how strong Jalen Hurts has been producing out on their team.
I disagree with that, because yes, you say that LSU beat them only by a touchdown, or beat UT, I'm sorry, only by a touchdown. The stats in general were terrible for UT. Like, they didn't show up that day. I'm sorry. Sam Ehlinger did not perform the way he usually performs. Their defense did not perform as well. They kept saying that they were DBU, or let's be honest, that's still LSU. They're still DBU. And LSU beat them while they were still top 10. UT started off ranked at 11. So they lost to a top 10 team. So when you lose to a top 10 team, you're going to go down. So that's the answer to that, for me at least.
I understand your standpoint, and let's see these teams continue forward these next coming weeks and see how it goes.
Christian Yelich of the Milwaukee Brewers is out for the season with a torn ACL. So what does this mean for the team? I believe that it hurts the team's chances to go into the playoffs, to get that trophy at the end of the season, to prove that they're the best, because they relied so heavily on this one player. He was also in talks to become MVP. While I still think he could become the MVP, it is going to be harder, because now those other players who were in talks have a chance to catch up. Yes, his stats are so high, and he could still possibly win it, but there's people now who could come out and take it.
Definitely, I agree with that. I can see players trying to start going out there and performing a lot better to try and catch him. But as you said, he has such high stats and such high performance out there that everyone sees him already in that contender spot. Antonio Brown has recently been released by the Oakland Raiders due to disagreements between him and the team, and has signed a contract to the New England Patriots. Now, during his transition, there has been sexual assault accusations pop up about Antonio Brown. How is the NFL going to handle this, and how is it going to affect Antonio Brown's future? Now, the NFL, I see, is going to handle it by waiting to see if the allegations are guilty or not. And from then, they'll take those steps forward to either suspend him or release him from the league. Now, in the future of Antonio Brown, depending on if he's guilty or not, will then hurt him by him not even being in the league, or him being in the league and being suspended for so long that it affects him and his team.
I think that in general, Antonio Brown, even before these accusations came out, he had become a problem in the NFL. He was arguing about his helmet, which was not NFL regulated, which is why he argued to get released from the Raiders. I also don't think he wanted to play for the Raiders, which is why he tried so hard to get released. And now he's on a team where he thinks he's going to win the Lombardi Trophy and win the Super Bowl, all that, all because he just didn't want to play for the Raiders. Also, I think with this whole allegation thing, this is a chance for Roger Goodell just to show how he punishes each player, because as we know, unfortunately, there have been incidents with players in the past, and some players have gotten more punishment than others. So it's going to be interesting to see whether or not he's found guilty or not, what the punishment will be, if at all.
Definitely, and also with higher notable players in the NFL continuing forward, they've also been in the past, favoritism, but have been a lot lighter on the more notable players in the NFL whenever accusations do pop up, and whenever things are either prosecuted with them being guilty or not guilty.
And he is a very high-profile player at this point, so we'll see if that quote-unquote favoritism pops out. Thank you for watching Time Out. You can catch us on Wednesdays on the Rattler Network at 6 p.m.
Also, be sure to follow us on social media, Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook.
See you next time.
Bye.